so well. So I would like to thank the organizers. I know how serious it is to organize an event like this, so great thanks that every year you can come back home to UTIC. And I wanted to ask about you a little bit. I mean, I know you know who I am, but I would like to find out, to understand more or less. Are there translators and editors in the room? Raise your hand. No. Yes. Is there somebody from translation agencies, except in-text? Okay, in-text is there. And I have a question to translators and editors. You can just cry out from place and I'll just repeat them in the microphone. Why did we come into this profession? Why we're here? Maybe we came here to earn lots of money and fame. Are there people who are here after fame and money? No. Well, we live in a real world. That's great. Why have we come to this profession then? What has motivated us, actually, to become an interpreter? Okay, it was an accident, but hopefully it was happy. Okay. Are there more answers? Okay, love for language. Great. Something else? I like working with language. Okay. I totally agree with you. About myself, I can say that I had the following reasons. Just that I like languages, words, letters, and that's how it went. And as we have understood, parties, wealth, power, huge money, it's not something you can come across frequently. Of course, we know translators who have their fans, and we won't name them, but it's a different story. But I have a hypothesis that we're here for enjoyment. And I mean, it's great freedom, you can travel, we can work time that is convenient, but it seems to me that the happiness wouldn't be complete if we didn't enjoy the work that we do. So if we didn't enjoy the translation process. And the question is the following: when, at which moment do we enjoy the translation process? If you have anything to answer, I mean, I hope that you do enjoy the process. Just cry out your answers and then I'll just repeat them into the mic. Okay. Yes, we face challenges and we solve them. Okay, more options? Yes, when you have an interest in text and you're interested in the topic. Okay, then I have a couple of other hypotheses here. No, actually. Okay, we'll do it differently. I'll read it out. It's not there on the slide. I wrote the following things down. When we know the subject well, when we understand it well, what's happening there, and we don't have to Google every fact, every term, and to understand what it's about, when the file it has segmented fine in the cat tool, when the original text is written in an adequate way, when there is not too little and not too much time for the translation. That's also important. And, in my opinion, we enjoy, at least I enjoy, when I do my work well, when we feel that we are doing well, right? And it just turns out that we have to understand how to come to that place where we do our work well. How do we achieve it? And what does it mean, doing your work well? In my opinion, this is when we feel that we deliver a cool text, that it is clear, that it is pleasant to read, that every word chosen and every comma put can be justified. We are convinced. Even if they wake us up at night, I'll tell them, like, yeah, I wrote it like this because it should be like this, and I can explain. Of course, we cannot say the same about each segment that we translated. We are all humans. Sometimes we lack the time or knowledge or patience, so that you could kind of confirm every segment with blood. But at least we should aspire for that, not for blood, but for confidence, of course. And then each question of the client is not going to be like a headache. It's going to be happy, as excitement. It's like, why did you write like this? Okay, I'll open it up and I'll tell you. When each question of the client, why did you translate like this? That's a gift, not a headache. And that's also a possibility to stand out among competitors, because when one translator sends corrections and the question is why, and he or she answers, both options are correct. And the client is like, okay. And if you justify it well, if you provide sources, if you're confident about everything, it works well for the authority. And I think that after such cool answers, they won't deliver too many corrections, and they might agree to improve your rate and or to become an editor. Of course, nobody likes editing, but at least it's a compliment if you have an offer like that in my world. And if we say that such approach is valid, let us think what could be the way that could lead us towards this confidence. I think that this is going to be more useful for translation beginners. I hope they're watching us. So let's see how we can achieve this confidence. What's the first thing that's important is to know about translation topic. I divide the text into two types: text for experts and text for the general public, because a financial text can be either super complicated, deep and serious, or for everybody, just for general information. And each type of this text has their own methodology for improving the quality of work. In general, for text for experts, we include everything. You might or you can get education in this field. You can become a doctor or an engineer or, I don't know, an economist. You could have a training in specialized translation that also does. You could be mentored by a skilled colleague. You could specialize consciously. You choose a domain, and then you just dig deep. You read blogs of the experts actually in these fields, both in the source and target language. You should follow the news of the industry, listen to the podcasts. You should watch YouTube channels on that topic. And the last part of this way is to develop knowledge in the field. That also works for the text designed for general public. I have a life hack. Actually, I managed to watch useful videos on YouTube in the evening when I am actually taking off my makeup. 20 minutes if I don't have the time at all. Then, another question. We have dealt with this topic, we know it well, and then I think that we have to learn to write well. What does it mean? I'm deeply convinced that the success of a translator depends not just on the knowledge of the source language, but on the deep knowledge of the target language. Because we can learn that foreign language for many years, watch films and talk, but it won't have much sense if we don't feel the words in our native language, especially when there are no clear equivalents, when you have to come up with those equivalents, when there is some creative approach there. So what do we do with that? My recipe, in brief, is the following. Read good literature in the language of translation. Not Facebook posts, not somebody's blogs, but actually good old literature. Simply to know the word, to expand your vocabulary, to understand how you can say the same thing in different ways. That's a very long way, I agree, but this is the most correct one. There are also great authors who write about the language. Nora Gal, Maxim Ilyachov, and there are also other options. What you should read is not going to be fiction, but actually applied literature. But you also shouldn't write something word for word. Don't be afraid to use translation of transformations. I think that not everybody graduated from translation departments, and that is okay. But as I studied in translation, they told us the transformations are there. You can write it an antonym, you can do the omission, you can add something, and that is nothing to be scared of. And I see that those who didn't get this knowledge, they're kind of scared because it's not written like that in the source. Because we have to remember, we have another client except the customer, and that is the reader. And they do not expect cool word-for-word translation and text. I mean, he is not interested in that. He wants to have it all clear, convenient, and so that their eyes go smoothly, and so that they don't see original English behind Russian translation or Ukrainian translation. Probably the main advice here is not to be afraid of writing it in a normal way. How we could just say it in normal conversation. so that we change places, add something, take away these functions, these articles which we don't have. And that's actually about the style, about the way we use the language. Also, another thing about the language is how do you write correctly. Here again, I think people in school should have learned it, but we see that it doesn't work. And we have to work on that. And again, it's reading, and not just reading for entertainment. It's paying attention to the commas, to the syntactic constructs, how it all works. And if you don't have a linguistic education, if it's been a while since you went to school, you just have to sit down and deal with it. There are some official rules. I mean, for Russian, it's easy. There is Gramota, there is Valentyna, and there are lots of websites to check. As for Ukrainian, it's more complicated. There are several cool sources on Ukrainian language. You have to dig more. But here we worked a bit for you, and in our Telegram channel, in Correctarium, we tell about some complicated issues. In Ukrainian, there is a great amount of advice there. You can use it. And also, how do you become better at orthography, spelling, and punctuation? I have the following rule. If in the text that you have written, you have to be sure about each word and each sign. And you have to understand this is that, here is the rule, I know it, and there it is. For example, if, like, you know for sure that comma is not needed here because this is a complex sentence with two subordinate clauses, they have a common main word, and there is this conjunction, that's why we don't put a comma. If you are sure, you don't have to recheck it. If you are not sure, you have to Google it. If you don't really know well those very fine specifics of terminology in grammar and spelling, simply take a reference book on spelling, on punctuation, and look what it consists of, what are the sections, what are the titles. You'll have to spend some time, then it's going to be easier, and then you'll understand. And actually, the amount of rules is limited, and you have already passed all them, you have checked them all, and after some time, you won't need to look for anything. And by the way, of course, there are some new rules, and about those, there are no articles like something, how do you write feedback in Russian and all that. You can find them in answers, and also some similar components you can look. And again, there is also Russian language channel Correctarium, where we also look at these complicated new words and deal with them. Okay. And when we have already dealt with all the rules and we are sure that we have written all correctly, this gives us confidence. We feel that we've done our job well, and we just send it to the client and we don't think about it anymore. And when all this is going to be like that, then we're going to have totally different problems. How do we take all the orders that are thrown on us? How do we manage to live in between all that? How spend time with your family? And how do you automate? How not to forget to raise your prices? How do you open your translation school? Why not? So that's the road that we take. By the way, how do you take just as many orders as you need to fill your time evenly, so that you don't sit without jobs, but then you also don't disrupt deadlines? And you can also have time for yourself and actually have this work-life balance. So here I'm going to pitch my startup. We decided that we can help freelancers to give answers to all these questions that you see. And we are making an app for that. It's called Unpile. Unpile.me. So that's a time planner for freelancers, not just translators, which helps them to make a plan for the day, for the week, for their life, and take as many orders that they need to manage to all of them, and also to share this calendar with the clients, so that when you see that you're fully loaded, so they don't distract you with their calls and messages like, can you take this or can you take that? So we are developing the very first version, version 0.1, because it's going to be a very, very small prototype. And we need people who have this pain with planning, with time organization for testing this thing, for testing this model. That is why, if you have such need, I'll be very thankful if you put your smartphone camera. There's going to be a small subscription form where you'll be able to leave your address. As soon as we have 101 version, it's going to be like this. But it's going to work anyway. So if you're interested, I'll be very happy if you help us test it. And another request. If we have 10 minutes to talk about planning and all that, I'll be happy to talk about that. And I have small souvenirs from Correctarium. We don't have any merchandise for Unpile because just 2 weeks. These are microfiber racks for glasses. You can also, I hope that you disinfect your phone and then you can use the rack for that. So, in general, that's it from myself. Thanks for coming, and I hope that I have inspired you a little bit for something good and for enjoying your work. That's the most important thing, I think. Otherwise, I mean, why should we live like that? And I hope that the new translators will see the video record and they will understand in which direction to move. And now probably have the time for questions, answers, riddles.
Thank you, Valentyna. Any questions? Kirill Fedotov in Text Company. Valentyna, today I've just known about, for the first time, about your TM channels and about your subscribers. And I would like to know, do you have any strategic vision for the development of these TM channels? As I understand, there is a high volume of knowledge in those channels. Are you planning to transform this pile of knowledge into any website? And this website would be an alternative for Gramota.ru or Rosenthal, as in Russia, maybe, or you plan to transform it in any books and guidelines with engagement of some specialists. Do you have any thoughts about it? Or you're just working with these channels and you don't know what to do? So, first of all, in these channels, we publish some advices, complex issues and problems with punctuation and grammar, and we are doing this, first of all, with the purpose of sharing with editors and translators about some problems, some difficult issues, and they don't know about them because they are published in some books. We buy these books, we are processing these books, and we are just sharing it in our channel. For example, the Ukrainian language rules are still not online. You could buy only a book, and we are our purpose is to share this information. So to transform it in any online website or a book, it's cool, but it's a non-profit case, not useful for society. We don't have any funds for it, and this is somehow a dream. And all my friends that are not Ukrainian speakers ask me to transform it and make an alternative to Gramota.ru, but in Ukrainian. That's good, I say, but we need an editor, and for 3 years we will do such a website. For now, we are not only a small company, we are a micro company, and we have only resources for chief editor for Ukrainian language to have 1 or 2 posts per week, and conducting research for many hours. As soon as we grow enough, we will do it, of course, because we really love this project. But as of today, we have these channels, there is a search engine and some hashtags, so you could use it. If you have any excessive investments and you plan to invest them into development of the Ukrainian language, I would be happy to have them. Any additional questions? Maxim Hami in text. Thank you very much for your presentation, Valentyna. And I understand correctly that this new startup will cover synchronization with different calendars, with different uploading monitoring systems such as tickets. So it means that everything could be aligned on the same platform, and at the same time you could just somehow correlate it with Google Calendar and download it. Yes, at the beginning we plan this correlation with Google Calendar because many people use it. Some appointments, assignments, some calls that should be done. But at the next steps, we plan to integrate with the tools dedicated to the team management. Maybe developers know about Tina, Shara, and so on, so on. So if also it will be cost effective, we would integrate with some providers of the management tools for translation companies, language service providers. And it could be also that a translator works with different clients. Clients use different project management tools. Everything is being synchronized, correlated and aligned, and the translator or freelancer understands what is the schedule, what is the working load, so on, so on. But of course, that was the nearest time. Any questions left? Thank you, Valentyna.